So then, taking a look, I think it's fair to say most Morticians players, rightly or wrongly, felt quite maligned with their mascot choice. Dirge certainly being the more prevalent one for the vast majority of Season 3, mainly due to being able to fly and have an 8-inch jog, and the second card basically giving you a free singled out, and the Cosset Bomb for the additional assist and damage that Cosset got. But I always found that a little bit clunky to set up. I don't know how you guys found when you were playing it. If I move you, if I jog someone with Obulus and then go and park the crow next to them, it's fairly obvious what's coming next, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's time to kill the bird or get out of there.
Well, the only thing was, it was actually pretty hard to get out of there, because if you walk away, follow-up just triggers anyway. So unless you could get out of Cosset's threat, there wasn't much you could do. In my I actually had to deal with this in my last game at WTC, where my opponent dropped Dirge and Cosset, and I just could not get Corsair away from Dirge, because he's just too slow, and there were too many models around, and anytime he tried to walk away, Dirge just followed, and I got really lucky that a Cosset charge didn't one-round Corsair.
Yeah. Because she said, so let's start there. You've brought that up. Follow up on Dirge was such a fantastic piece for the early setup of that Cosset Bomb, for want of a better expression. So that follow up going and becoming essentially tag along is an enormous sort of shift on Dirge's traits. Flying and Dark Dance ostensibly the same. Now this I love because it doesn't telegraph what I want to do. If Cosset charges into a target, you're going to have to be careful on positioning. But if Dirge is within an inch of Cosset, Dirge is coming too. Immediately straight in with Cosset, and she gains all the benefits of having Dirge engaging the target, and none of the prerequisite of having to set it up.
Yeah, and I think that will really bring flying to the fore as well, because of course, you don't have to do the straight line like Cosset does along the ground. Cosset can take the ground route, and then Dirge hops over everybody in the way anyway.
Yeah, or terrain and the like. But if Ghast or Casket is stood in the way, that's not something that you have to worry about. It does
directly towards is pretty difficult to get on tag along, though.
And that's where the skill with that is going to be, that your positioning is going to have to be spot on. And it also, like, looking at the rest of how Dirge has changed, I'm a big fan that he's gone to 7 health. It just means that conditions and smoke can't one-round him very, very easily. Yeah. But he's going to tack 3 and still having that single. Yeah, he's got a third column now. He's got that double dodge on 3. I don't think that's ever really going to come up or be useful. It's weird because the tack 3 essentially means against a 4-1 character, I've got a reasonable chance of swinging and hitting that singled out, especially if there's a crowd out in there.
Yeah, and especially against defense 3 models or lower, you can pretty reliably hit it.
Yeah, exactly. But Dirge won't be going in first because Cosset's taking him with him, or at least that's kind of what we're talking about here. So it's weird because he kind of got to the situation where Dirge can get singled out on a target more easily, but won't necessarily be in place to do it. Now, either that's purposeful, and it's something you're going to have to consider. Do you want Dirge to go on doing the single out, or does that just simply give Dirge more versatility in situations where he's not with Cosset, or Cosset isn't in the lineup?
Once Cosset goes in and does her thing, you can make it that much easier. Say you don't quite manage the one rounder. If you've got that one influence on Dirge, it's a lot easier to then kind of single out and then finish the model off with something else coming in.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Also, I suppose, when he goes in with Cosset against one target, he hasn't actually used his advance, so he can still go and try and single out a model up to 9 inches away, having already gone potentially 8. So that gives quite I'm talking myself back round into it.
I kind of feel that follow-up is a lot scarier than tag-along for setting up Cosset kills, because it it's a lot more reliable and easier to set up. But where I think the real difference is I think the new version of Dirge is so vastly superior when you're not running Cosset.
Yeah.
Because tag-along is really good in a lot of other scenarios, whether that be, let's just say going on a 22-inch goal run with Dirge.
Yeah, like
which
we have
is now
seen.
better at a 2-4 kick as well.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, and also he's got the 3 influence to be able to do some nonsense in that area. Yeah, just like hanging around with Veteran Hemlock when she jogs multiple times, or Scalpel, as we talked about already. Just going along for a crowd out. Let's not forget, like
the 7 health is so massive there too.
Yeah, like the benefits of extra dice. My favourite beta in faction, as most people around here knows, is memory. So if I've activated a model and memory danced it in to engage someone, typically what I'll then do is walk Brain Pan up next to him as well, so he's tax 6. If Dirge is also going in, hey, I've got a tax 7 puppet with a 4-long playbook. I'm very happy about that. I don't know about other people.
I'm less happy about that.
You're less happy, yeah, I can see why. But I must admit, I'm talking myself back around to Dirge, particularly on occasions when Cosset isn't there. Not that he's not good with Cosset. Speaking of Cosset, let's have a look at everyone's. I was going to say favourite young lady in the Morticians, but I'm not entirely sure that's true. She's a strange little cookie. At first glance, it's Angry Wednesday. At first glance, not a lot has changed. She's still a 7-9 move. She's still a 2-6 kick, 2-2 influence, attack 4, 4's no defense. The playbook is essentially the same. I suppose the big thing is that Crazy's gone and just been replaced for a flat tax 6. When I spoke to Jamie about this, they didn't like what it said about the game. And what it said about mental health issues, which I massively commend on their part. It doesn't need to be in the game. It didn't say very much about the game when Harry had it errated off his card and only female characters in the game had it. So let's get rid of it. Doesn't need to be there. Brilliant. Gone.
As a mental health advocate, I was very happy to see that happen.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if I'm, as I have been for the last sort of 10 months or so, trying to build a new meta up at Thor's Hammer Gaming and Ballroom Wood, and I'm introducing the game to some of our female players at that club, and they notice that only the female characters have Crazy on it, that doesn't really sell the game particularly well, quite frankly, so it's nice to see it gone. Also, she's not hurting herself anymore. I don't have to spend momentum every single turn to heal her, or more frequently, forget to spend momentum every single turn to heal her because she's damaged herself with Crazy.
Which is a much bigger deal than it was with Harry before he lost it. Or even if it was on Chisel, to be honest. But a 4-0 with 12 health, when you basically can't heal because you're healing 1 a turn because you're damaging yourself 3, she was just so easy to kill, and she still is.
Yeah.
But at least now you don't have that momentum tax.
You don't have the momentum tax, and the gaining of Back to the Shadows. I'm going to go on my little positioning rant again. Insert rant here. I've just footnoted it. There you go. It's going to keep Back to the Shadows, and not having to heal yourself as a tax is going to keep her alive in situations where in seasons 1 through 3 she would have died almost immediately.
And I think it's a lot less. It's nowhere near as strong as it is on characters like Jakar, who have a strong counterattack and ways to slow down the opposition. Because if you get to her, she's going to die, and she will be within your threat still. But what it does is it allows you to box a model in, have her charge in, and then not have that model able to just beat her to death despite crowdouts, which has happened for me a few times, where you're like, well, I can probably kill you with TAC 4 if you're a captain, just because she's so easy to hit. Whereas now, you'll at least make people take a parting blow to get to her, which a lot of the time will be enough to keep her safe.
Yep. Equally,
I think it's a great change.
Yeah. It's not a straight line. You can nip behind that bit of terrain, nip behind Casket, nip behind Ghast, whatever it is you're up to. It's don't just measure 4 inches, push her away and clock over. Again, have some consideration about exactly where it is you're going to put her. Even if that just means I'm going to dodge as far to the flank as possible, because either I've got wing back or something like that in my arsenal for later on, and I want that shadow-like, or whichever one it is that gives you shadow-like. Or if it's just, cool, if they're going to come after me, let's get them out of position as much as possible.
Yeah, she's much harder to, what's the chess term, exchange. So she comes in and kills something, and then you can kill her straight back. Not so much anymore. It's going to take a lot more kind of setup to pin her back down again.
Because even
if she kills, go ahead.
Even if she did kill someone, you've effectively killed them where your opponent dictated that exchange took place. Mm-hmm. Unless you've puppet mastered them into a particular spot, which I frequently admit I've done on many an occasion.
Or scalpelled them.
Yeah, or scalpel them. Not so much, because I'm not very good with scalpel. Yet. But then Cosset moves away, and the location of the next fight is back on your terms. And if that's, say, within Casket's rough ground, then, or you go into rough ground and Ghastly Visage, it's like, sweet, you're now minus 7 inches to your charge. It's on my terms, and that's what I really like about it. Mm-hmm. Connor?
I think she's good. She's pretty similar, though, so I think if you didn't like her before, you probably won't run her now, and if you liked her before, you'll like her more now.
Yep, seems reasonable. I think she is probably back in my roster, but I suspect that's more to do with the fact that the roster's gone to 12 rather than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I think it also depends on the next mascot.
Exactly, and with that, we shall pause it here, and we'll back in just a moment to talk about Vile Swarm and Veteran Graves.